And Chair Alcorn.
All right. Welcome everybody to the first meeting of January 2022 of the Palm Springs Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody. Let's start this meeting out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will everybody please join me? Please rise.
Oh, Jerry, I have a video.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, give me just a second. Let me do this. You've got the flag too. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, little Dex.
That was Dexter from our camp.
Good job, little buddy.
He does little Chef Dexter videos too, so you got to check him out. It's very cute.
That is awesome. So let's start with roll call.
Okay, Chair Alcorn,
Present.
Vice Chair Coladonato,
Present.
Commissioner Crawford,
I'm here.
Commissioner Diaz,
Here.
Commissioner Finland,
Present.
Commissioner Goodman,
I'm here.
Commissioner Meyer,
Present.
Commissioner Moralia,
Here.
and Commissioner Spellman. I don't believe he's here. And just so that everyone's aware, Commissioner Armstrong did resign from the Parks and Rec Commission, and so we have 2 vacancies.
All right. Thank you very much. Can we have a report of the posting of the agenda, please?
Janet, do you want to do that? The agenda was posted as required.
Okay. Thank you very much. Has anybody had a chance to look over the November minutes? Can I get a motion to approve, please?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Johnny.
Motion. Second.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, we have to do roll call. Ready? Chair Alcorn.
Present. Chair here. Yeah.
Vice Chair Coladonato.
I'm here. Present.
We're voting on the minutes, correct?
Yes, it's a yes.
Commissioner Crawford.
Yes. Approve the
Okay.
minutes.
Commissioner Diaz.
I approve the minutes.
Commissioner Finland.
Approved.
Commissioner Goodman.
Approved.
Commissioner Meyer.
Yes, approved.
Commissioner Moralia.
Approved.
Okay, the minutes are approved.
Thank you very much. At this time, is there any correspondence?
We have gathered the correspondence and you have all received it as emails, and then it will be gathered as a packet. Janet, how many emails and letters did we receive? Do you know?
We actually had, with December and January, we had a total of 22 correspondence.
So those will be given, they were emailed to you as we received them, and then they will be gathered up as the packet for next month for the official record.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we're gonna have public comment. It's gonna be coming up. We're gonna try to limit it to, time has been set for the members of the public to be set aside for the Parks and Recreation Commission on the agenda items and items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. Although the commission values your comments pursuant to Brown Act in general, cannot take any action on the items not listed on the posted agenda. 3 minutes assigned per speaker, and you will be timed. Just want to say a quick thing here very quick for everybody. Just want to let everybody know that first and foremost, we are aware that there is a pickleball need and necessity here in the valley. And we are trying to do everything we can to bring more courts in. And we are not going to take any tennis courts that are currently being used out of play. Ruth Hardy Park is not going to be touched. Tennis courts are not going to be moved or touched. So we are aware of situations and we are working on trying to remedy them and find proper solutions for our city. We are working on it and we are being diligent on it. So we want to let everybody know we are aware and we are working on this. So with that, I'd like to open it up to public comment.
Okay, I have a list of, I've got someone in the waiting room. I'm gonna admit them. They don't have a name. If there's a problem, we've had problems before. We'll try to get it muted as quick as possible. I'm gonna admit this person, so let's just hope that it's a legitimate person. So our Janet is going to do the timing, correct? Where's Janet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Our first speaker is Max Dierda.
I'm here.
3 minutes.
Hello, everyone, and thank you all. Thank you very much for acknowledging the pickleball issue. I'm here to speak. I love pickleball. I play in Demuth Park every day, and I can see the need. I'm glad that you all can see the need, and thank you very much for listening to us. I'm very passionate about this park, and I really would love those pickleball courts to be one of the best in the country, if not the best. It's hard when the courts are so close to the water treatment plant and the constant, strong, awful smell that comes out of the plant. I feel heartbroken when I see other public pickleball courts in the country, like in St. George, Utah, or the 54 pickleball courts in East Naples Community Park in Florida, or the new pickleball courts in Las Vegas, or even close to us, the Freedom Park in Palm Desert. We can do better. We can make Palm Springs the leader of pickleball courts. It's really popular here. Go in the morning, you play one game and you have to leave and let everybody else come in. We have the need for more pickleball courts and to make it look nicer. I would suggest to add palm trees between the courts and the waste plant. And just so I can hopefully now with the windscreens that will obstruct the view. And another maybe, I don't know, solution is to try to find a solution to the smell. So that maybe be able to control it. I'm not sure how, but the constant smell can be really embarrassing when we have people coming into our beautiful city. Another request is the lighting be improved. I work 9 to 5. It's fine now. It's fine in the summer because obviously it's too hot. But right now, when it's 4 p.m. or 5, the sun it goes behind the mountain and it's really dark. You cannot even see or even play when the lights are weak. I would really, really encourage you to look at the lighting issue. Yes, we do have lights, but they're not sufficient. It's also dangerous. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Hold on.
All right.
I lost my list. Our next person is Sean Toroley, but Sean, do you want to talk on your item or do you want to give some public comment? I guess you give public comment now. Sean, are you Toroley? Sean, we can come back to you. Connie, is Connie Bapies here? No. Is Mary Barcelo here? I heard she was not going to be here. Okay, David Feltman.
Hi. Good evening, commissioners and staff of Parks and Recs. Thank you for your service. And I am here to advocate for more pickleball courts. Also to reiterate what Max said about the lighting. I think they may have been put in a different era and probably the technology has changed, and it's important to recognize when there's technology change, because the lighting really is pretty inadequate. So hopefully somebody with technical skills can take a look at that. First, foremost, we thank you for the new bathrooms that are being constructed there. I don't think I need to say more about that. I think everybody knows that's an urgent necessity, so to speak. We could use a little bit more regularly scheduled air blowing of those courts. You know, I know it's staffing is tight now and maybe it needs to wait a little bit, but if somebody can put it into the consideration queue for, you know, when there's more staff available to really have those courts blown, you know, 4 or 5 times a week. Maybe it can't be 7, but 4 or 5 would certainly be great, or every other day. I personally have a broom from Walmart in the back of my car. People have come into my car and said, "What's that for?" It's like, well, we have to sweep up the courts pretty regularly. So maybe that can be taken care of. On the possibility for new pickleball courts, all of the things Max said are true. We really need to be a leader on this, both for our community, our full-time residents, our part-time residents, as well as our tourist economy. It's such a beautiful thing that it's a win-win-win for all parts of our city, that we want to be exemplary for all of our community components, you know, full-time, part-time, visitors. And it's being used by all. I can't tell you how much fun it is to meet people from all over the country, all over the world, and introduce ourselves and get to know one another. It's really, it's, you know, it's moving into the future by getting those courts built, hopefully, you know, in the right order and time and with the right due diligence, as the chair suggested. The last thing I want to say is I am a tennis fan. I am a tennis player, and I'm also advocating for pickleball courts. And it really saddens me that there was this war, and I wasn't around playing pickleball when evidently there was this sort of world war between the two. Somebody's phone is ringing.
That's the timer.
Okay, I didn't know. Anyway, no replacement of tennis courts is sought or wanted. We need those too.
Okay, let's see, thank you. James DeGane. Is James on here? Oh, you know what? I responded to him and he said he did not need to speak. David Cohan.
Hello, commissioners. It's been a while since I've seen your faces and you've seen mine. How are you? I'm Dave Cohan, Palm Springs resident, actually former Palm Springs Parks and Rec commissioner. And I will make this short because you've already heard from other folks and I submitted a written statement as well. But obviously we need more pickleball courts. They're actually being used more heavily now than they have ever since I've been in Palm Springs. And I know you're saying no conversion of tennis courts. I would like you to consider converting the 4th and remaining tennis court at Demuth Park into 4 more pickleball courts, because it'll be quite a while until we can get any additional new courts built. Originally, we kept you guys kept the last tennis court there to try to continue to give some tennis access to that community that was more local there. But I'll tell you, parity is parity. We can't play at Ruth Hardy Park pickleball, and we need more pickleball courts at Demuth. And when the city council said it's one for Ruth Hardy Park is tennis, Demuth is pickleball, but you can have the tennis court at Ruth Hardy at Demuth, it's an issue now. I'll also tell you that the sewage treatment plant that we were promised for years, that it was fixed. And I've sat in lots of meetings with you where they told us that it's not fixed. I'll give you a for instance of how embarrassing it is. Yesterday was a pretty awful day. Some days are worse than others. And the actor Jamie Foxx and his cast and crew, some of them were playing pickleball yesterday, and they saw what was going on in Palm Springs, what our Parks and Rec was like, and that was embarrassing for all of us that were there. A couple of quick fixes and things I suggest. Obviously, if we can advocate for a new facility in Sunrise Park, as Commissioner Goodman had been championing for quite a while, and trying to get funds from Measure J and city budget to do that, I'd highly advocate for that. Also, the lighting, as you've heard, we all know is terrible. If you remember, the biggest problem was the electrical system underneath the courts was a mess, the power supply. But if it's substituted now with a solar LED system, it'll be a little more expensive to install, but you won't have to do the underground work. The light bulbs will last for 50 years and it'll be a lot cheaper and more sustainable to do it. And we'll have decent lighting there. And we'll be able to use all the courts. Right now, there's only about 4 or 5 courts that can be used at night because the lighting is so bad. And finally, you've heard already that the courts are pretty dirty. There's a layer of dust and grit on them, and it makes the courts really slippery. I personally have slipped on them and been injured. And I think it's just a matter of time till somebody else slips and the city's held liable for that. And finally, because the courts are so heavily used right now, multiple times during the day, there are no courts available. We do need to adopt some form of proper court queuing system because people are arguing with one another. And Mary Barcelow can help with that. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mara Gladstone.
Hi, Parks and Rec Commission. I'm Mara Gladstone. I'm a 9-year resident of Palm Springs District 2. I've been an arts professional for more than 20 years, almost a decade in the Coachella Valley. And I just wanted to share with you that I'm also a member of Bayanihan Desert, which is a Filipino-American Filipinx community action network comprised of largely Palm Springs residents, but Palm Springs and Coachella Valley based residents who identify as Filipino-American. And there's an artist in our community named Adam Labuan who has done amazing murals about Filipino culture and leadership in California, murals mostly in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we've been talking over the last year and a half about wanting to present to the Parks Department and to the city the idea of creating a mural celebrating the rich legacy of Filipinos, Filipino-Americans, Filipinx individuals, people who identify, have family, have eaten lumpia, love Philippine culture, because Filipinos have played a big role in the agricultural community here, the hospitality community here, are still, we're kind of everywhere, and we really want to do something to celebrate that. So we're putting together a proposal that involves a lot of community input that would be really important to this project, working with Adam, the artist, to gather input from anyone in the community who also wishes to celebrate Filipino culture with us, and figure out a really beautiful mural to create, where we would love to see installed in the Veterans Track neighborhood, the Demuth Park, ideally at the Demuth Park Community Center, where many Filipino kids of Filipino descent have spent their time and continue to spend their time, and which is home to a really one of the biggest populations of Filipino Americans in the Coachella Valley. So with that, I just wanted to share that we're interested in doing that. We would really love to talk to you more to see how best to get this off the ground, to listen to your concerns and comments, and to figure out a way to celebrate the awesome Asian American heritage in the Palm Springs area and Coachella Valley with this mural. So yes, just wanted to present that idea. Oh, I should mention too that we did share this concept with the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission. They have not voted on it. There is no, we haven't moved forward with it, but we wanted to share the idea first. because we really think it's really essential that there is community support around the project. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Very interesting too. Very interesting. We will keep in contact.
And I will get to everybody. So if I did call your name and you didn't speak, I'll make sure everybody has a chance to speak. Gary Armstrong. Did you want to speak? No? Okay. I have iPad Pete. Do you want to speak? Pete? Okay, I'm gonna come back if I need to. Joanne Plummer, do you want to give a comment?
I was not planning on speaking tonight. Thank you very much. But I was in your community this weekend and saw there was a pickleball discussion on your agenda, and we love pickleball in Goleta and have similar issues. So I'm just here to listen. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Shelley Saunders?
No, I have no comments.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. T. Santora?
Hello there. I'm just going to start the video. There it is. Hi, everyone. First of all, as a former commissioner with Sustainability Commission, I want to say thank you for your service. I've been in your shoes, and I know it's sometimes not so much fun, and I don't want to repeat what everyone else has said. So I do agree with all the comments made so far on the pickleball courts. Two things that I want to bring to your attention, which you may already know. One is there was a lot of DG placed around the walk paths around the pickleball courts. It might have been a good idea, but it turned out to be a terrible idea. For those of you familiar with tennis shoes, you know that they have grips on the bottom. It picks up the rubble, and so people are tracking it onto the courts. It creates not only a slippery situation because it gets embedded in the treads of the shoes, but then it's left behind for others, and it's going to also wear down the surface prematurely and cost the city more money than is necessary. So I'd highly recommend you guys think about some other way to treat that area around the paths. The second thing I want to mention is that we really need to have barriers between the courts. A lot of stray balls in pickleball, and when they're bouncing all over other people's courts as they're playing, it creates a danger. It's unnecessary. Barriers can be made very cheaply. They can be removable, made from a variety of materials that can be done at a low cost. So I'd ask you to consider those two items in addition to the others. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I've sent at least 2 pieces of correspondence to the commission. I don't know if you received them or not. It sounded like there was only 24 or so. But if you did, I hope you did take a look at those and consider them. And I just want to thank you all for your time again.
Thank you, sir. We do get all correspondence, and I personally do read all of them, to let people know. I do read every piece of correspondence that comes in from the people. All right.
And then Polly, did you want to give a comment? Polly V, I'm not going to say that last name. Yeah. Sean Toroley, did you want to give public comment now?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Sorry about the mute thing. You know, I didn't expect to be advocating for tennis alongside of pickleball. I didn't know that was the, you know, anyway. So, but I would like to urge whoever the deciders are that it's a wise decision to go by data rather than minority rule. I'd also like to add that as of 2020, tennis is the fastest growing racket sport in the United States with a 24 to 27% surge, and 3 million self-identified beginners joined tennis in the United States, which just happens to be almost the exact same amount as all of pickleball players in the entire United States. Now, I am a recreation and arts advocate, and I'm a certified tennis pro, and I'm learning to become an umpire for pickleball, and I play 2 times a week. I'd love to take you at your word, but factually speaking, the plaza was demolished, 9 courts, and nothing was replaced per the city's word. 24 courts in 24 months were demolished in Palm Springs proper. So to quote Rachel Maddow, listen to what they do, not what they say. So you can say what you want, but now all of a sudden in the same meeting, that last court, which is tradition, stays there. Also, with all due respect, and I'm a middle-aged white guy in America, that is one group of white people. So thank you, Jamie Foxx, for spicing things up a bit. However, it does not address the demographics of the city. I'm sorry you have to smell that smell. I smell it too, but those used to be tennis courts and we smelled it back then. Also, I don't think we really need a blower for the courts. However, blowing it is much wiser, not 7 days a week. And again, another wise person came on and suggested eliminating whatever that is in front of it. I'm happy to be an advisor for both, but I don't think everyone has the time to do the homework, but I've done it. Here's why I'm actually asking to see you. So I'm throwing a tournament for the people of Palm Springs, the 12th and 13th, Valentine's weekend this year. And it was going to be a senior tournament, a national one, but I didn't really feel it from USGA. I don't think they supported our city. So through the suggestions of the tennis community at the park, I decided to pivot and bring them and the city their own tournament. It's called the People's Tournament. It's also a doubles tournament. It's affordable, and I would like you guys to donate the fee of $11 each. Can I have 30 more seconds?
Sorry, 3 minutes is all we have, sir.
You have my note. You'll be sending a message to tennis, whatever your decision is, because $11 an hour is outrageous. Thank you. Jeannie, thank you very much for all you've done for me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Michael Wexler just joined. Did you want to give public comment? And then is there anyone else that wants to give public comment? That's my list, but did I miss anyone? Okay, and you can always email us. So that concludes public comment.
All right. So if everybody heard, we have a lot of issues and complaints going on with tennis and pickleball communities, hoping to get everything resolved. We heard a lot of good information from the public today. So at this point, we're going to move on to the next section of our meeting, which is staff updates. And I see some staff in here. So who would like to start? Ladies first. Let's get Stacy on and off because she's not feeling good. Stacy, would you like to go first? Yes, ma'am.
I guess the main update that I wanted to point out for, obviously is related to this discussion, is we do the pressure washing, power washing of the courts the first and Thursdays of every month. It's always helpful when the players will leave the courts for that to occur. That has been a bit of an issue for us. Secondly, we do have the electric leaf blowers that are up there several times a week, blow off the courts. And I wanted to point out the reason that we have DG, which that's what we have. It's decomposed granite. The reason that we have the DG around the courts is after the resurfacing that we did 18 months ago or so, we realized that the irrigation, because the turf was up to the edge of the courts, the irrigation at that time, the overflow was flowing onto the courts and damaging them. So we pulled it back and we put gravel in. And then we had an issue, a liability issue, because the players were inadvertently kicking the gravel onto the courts, which caused people to trip and fall. So the request then from the players, as well as the commission, was to replace that with decomposed granite, which we have done. And the decomposed granite, we're actually adding a sealant to try to help, but again, we have AQMD issues, so we have to make sure that that doesn't create a dust control issue. We do spray it with water and sealant to try to keep the dust down and obviously the debris off the fields. One of the other issues that came up recently was, well, maybe we could put concrete there. Problem with that is now we're going to come back to water flowing back on, because concrete, of course, will not act as the leach field that we need it to act as. So we're still investigating other options. One of the things that I'm actually getting quotes for right now is to potentially lower and level the area near the bleachers and maybe put a concrete pad there and surround that possibly with some pea gravel that could act as a leach field to draw some of that away. And as for the lighting, Don can address that. No, he can't. So he's shaking his head. No, he's not going to. So we are moving forward with major lighting renovations throughout Demuth Park. These have not been added or included in that at this time, these courts. I think the bigger question comes back to the commission. Do you want me to focus and invest on upgrading those lights and switching those over to solar or LED? Or is the will of the players and the commission to seek out alternative locations? Otherwise, overseeding is completed. We are moving forward. We will be removing additional railings and fencing areas around the old turtle fountains, which I think some of you are aware. Those that have been here a while. We had the turtles, which were an interactive water feature. Unfortunately, they're concrete, so they created a slip, trip, and fall hazard for our children. So those have been deemed unsafe. So we're removing the railings and we're going to be removing the turtles. Right now, I'm holding off on removing the turtles up at the Desert Highland Community Park, simply because that was part of a recent art commission. So right now, that's, in my mind, an art piece. But because of the drought and the other restrictions, we're not going to move forward with removing that. Again, I'd like the subcommittee for the parks to any input on how to retrofit or replace these possible water features is greatly appreciated. However, currently those water features do not have a reclamation pump. They don't recycle the water. So based on the drought restrictions we're currently facing, we couldn't turn them on again as they are. So as we move forward with coming up with a new plan, whatever new interactive feature we come up with needs to have that in mind as we move forward. I'd also like to point out that the State Water Control Board has mandated water restrictions, so we are no longer able to water the turf in medians. So as defined right now, that is between a street and another street, not the parklets, but the medians. So along the airport, Kirk Douglas Way, Ramon Road, there are a handful of areas you're going to see we're going to be basically we're going to remodel the irrigation systems to obviously maintain the trees as best we can. Unfortunately, our trees they weren't established as deep root watering systems. They were established as surface watering. So it's a little challenging to maintain the appropriate amount of water we need to make them healthy. We're working with an arborist right now to potentially create collars or some type of system for irrigation that will maintain their health and continue to let them flourish. But you will see removal of grass. You're going to see dying grass on some of our medians. That is not an accident. That's not a maintenance issue. It is on purpose. We are in a drought and we're taking the steps that we need to do to help conserve water. We are also, on that same token, looking at different options to zero-scape our medians going forward. All medians that the city approves will be zero-scaped. So right now I'm looking at a retrofit. So I've received from engineering a handful of the most recent plans from, I think, 4 medians that were city approved that are zero-scaped. So I'm going to look through those with the plant palettes and the trees and the vegetation involved. And once I determine which ones we think are going to be the most viable for us going forward, I'm going to submit that to the Parks and Rec Commission as approval, and then potentially the Planning Commission as well, for this is going to be our standard moving forward. Any questions?
Awesome. Any questions, comments, or concerns for Stacy? Thank you very much for everything, as always. As everybody hears, I hope the public hears this too, there's a lot of new regulations and stuff that's going on, so they're abiding by them. And we're doing everything we can to keep the city going. So thank you, Stacy, for everything you're doing. Thank your department too.
I did want to point out, Chair Alcorn, one of the unique issue that we've had recently, and I wanted to make a point of letting you know that we are on it. There has been a unusual rash of theft of our swings, and in particular the infant swings in our city parks. So if you see them that they're missing, please feel free to contact me directly or put in a work order. Please note that the ones at Sunrise Park have been ordered and now again reordered. So any unusual activities, I strongly encourage you to contact the police department, non-emergent number or whatever appropriate method. But we're same thing with our basketball nets. We've got a little bit of a unusual activity that we are trying to keep up on. Unfortunately, we're suffering the same situation as everyone else. The material shortages, lead times are really long to try to get those things replaced, but we are aware, we are working on them, and we will get those parks put back together as fast as we can.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you very much. Dawn, if you do not mind, can I ask Jan, would you like to go give an update? All right.
Which one? Who?
Janine, would you like to go?
Yeah, yeah. All of our city facilities are closed to indoor service right now, including our after-school program and our preschool programs. So we take this very seriously, and we don't like to be closed, but we are working to try to get everybody healthy and so we can reopen again. So thank you for your understanding and patience with that. The swim center was closed for a bit. They were able to reopen last week. They did have a record day in new swim passes sold. That was great. Because of the high demand, now they've had to go to reservations in the afternoon. So the drop-in didn't work because there were too many people dropped in. Let's see, I want to share my screen real quick just to show you one program. When we do reopen, this is one of our programs that we did prior to closing. It was indoor pickleball, climate controlled indoor pickleball. So come to one of our locations when we reopen, Demuth Community Center and James O. Jesse. They both do the program Monday through Friday, and it starts at 9 to noon at Demuth and 9 to 1 at James O. Jesse. So membership is required, but it works at both locations. So you could email recinfo@palmspringsca.gov or give us a call 323-8272 when we reopen. And then they are there answering the phones, but I mean, when we are back on services. And then I wanted to show this, the picture may not be perfect, but this is a picture of the mural, the Native American Heritage Month mural that the kids and participants at our community centers painted. There were 3 panels and each location got 1 panel to paint. And so it all fit together like a puzzle and it turned out wonderful. It's very beautiful. So I want to thank them for that. And then finally, here's our tot. Tot is installed at the swim center. And there he is. He's got his, not just a mock-up, but an actual picture of the actual sculpture. So he's got his face mask as well. So there you go. There's my report.
Thank you, Janine. Any questions, comments, concerns for Janine? other than thank you for doing double duty and taking care of everything. Seriously, thank you very much, ma'am. All right, let's move on. Don, sir. Updates. You are muted, sir.
Great. So we're on discussion item 1, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So update on the projects. So the 7 priority projects that the Parks and Rec Commission brought to us and approved by City Council in September of 2020, we have 3 projects left. The Pavilion sound system, as I reported to you in November, the contractor was hoping to install things in January. Unfortunately, they are still trying to source some electronic components, but they're hoping to install at the end of February. In the meantime, they were able to submit their structural plans. There's some supports for the sound system that they're going to install. And so Building and Safety is reviewing those structural plans for plan check, but that should be done before February. We do have the playground surfacing complete at Desert Highland Park. Demuth Park should be complete by the end of this week. And then if you remember, Measure J gave us more money, and we issued a change order for this contractor to install or to add Victoria Park playground surfacing for their scope of work. The contractor has submitted some designs to our maintenance and facility staff to review. So the original contract work is pretty much complete. And then we are moving on to add Victoria Park resurfacing. So that's really exciting. And then the third project that's remaining on the list is the Ballfield lighting design. Our consultant has met with city staff to review the plans. We are looking to get that out to bid in April, award the project in May, and then have a summer construction. And we've been in contact with the staff at Parks and Rec that schedules all the different baseball leagues. Pretty much it's a year-round thing. No matter when we build it, we're gonna affect somebody. The players have been overwhelmingly supportive. They just want the lights built. So whenever it's ready to get built, they'll adjust accordingly. So thank you to all the softball players and baseball players out there. Our other park projects under construction, we do have the Demuth Park and Desert Highland Park restrooms. Obviously, they've started at Demuth Park. When they finish, they will move up to Desert Highland Park. So that is proceeding along quite nicely. The Demuth Community Center, we're going to install a new HVAC system. And this project will be awarded at the next city council meeting. So we are, basically ready to go with that one. Prop 68 grant projects. We didn't talk about this before, but I just wanted to bring you guys up to date. I guess before Cynthia left, our previous Parks and Rec director, she applied for some grants, and this will, part of the grant that was awarded would be to install shade structures at the Aquatic Center. This will install 3 new shade structures, one located on the north side of the pool, one on the west side of the pool, and one on the south side near the kiddie pool. So, and then any leftover funds will go towards bleachers for under those new shade structures. So we feel like we got a pretty good price with the shade structures. So there might be some leftover funds for bleachers. And then also part of that grant project was to fix the Desert Highland ball field. And that included laser leveling of the ball field, the infield, it's kind of rocky, the infield. So that's gonna have brand new clay brought in for that. And it also installs one shade structure behind the backstop. So, and then staff at the park up there said that there's an existing bleacher that's still in pretty good condition. There was no reason to toss it. So that could be moved to under the shade structure. If there is funds available, again, we would go towards either new bleachers that could be installed up here or additional ones for the aquatic center. So that's kind of the new projects. We do have the wall, the block wall between the pickleball courts and the wastewater treatment plant. That was awarded by city council just in their last meeting. We're waiting for the contractor to get all their contract documents, insurance, all the various city business license, all those different things. Once that's done, we can have a pre-construction meeting, get better details on the dates that they're gonna plan to work, as well as how long it's going to take them to build the block wall. So, and then they also have to get building and safety plan check for their wall to get their building permit. So that's going to take several weeks, just knowing how busy building and safety is. So we're at least more than a month away from construction over there. But again, once we can meet with them, we can figure out when they're going to start, and then subsequently notify the community, as well as all the pickleball players and all of that good stuff. So we just don't have the information right now until we get the contract signed and processed. So that should be in the works before our next update next month. And that's my project update.
Thank you, Don.
Hey, Jerry, I have a question. Hey, Don, did you mention anything about putting new clay at the Demuth Park? Any, maybe fields 5, 6, 7, and 8?
We did the laser leveling last year, remember? Is it?
Yeah, it was right. Yeah. Well, we did it in 2020 and then COVID hit us.
Yeah.
What happened, Don, is since then, we're starting to play on it. Things are going good, but all that clay is gone.
Yeah.
And Janice knows about it, and I'm sure Stacy kind of does too. But I thought I'd bring that up now because you were mentioning maybe bringing some clay in, and I know the north end needs it too, for sure.
Yeah.
But these fields, there's a big tournament this weekend, for sure, I know of. But and then we play weekly, every weekend on them. But the fields, they need some new love. We need some more dirt on there. Well, we need clay. So if we can figure that out somehow.
Yeah.
Donnie, I was not aware of that, and we have clay. We'll get that. I will get that taken care of.
Cool. Thank you.
Just let me know next time. I'll take care of it.
Oh, you got it. Cool. And I probably should have mentioned that to you, but yeah, especially fields 5, 6, 7, and 8, especially. Okay. Because they're getting more of the use.
Okay. I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Easy peasy. All right. Anything else? Don, thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Any other staff updates?
Hey, Jer, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering, while Don and Stacy are here, I'm just curious. I think I saw somewhere that there was $200,000 put into the city budget for the dog park, Demuth Dog Park. And I see eyebrows being raised. I was surprised, but I kind of heard about it. I didn't really see it. I don't know if that came out in the city council's priority list, or if Justin did something. I was just wondering if you might have heard of anything.
I have not, but I would be greatly interested if that were the case.
Sure.
We added 20 tons of sand up there right before the overseeding. That came out of my budget. That wasn't budgeted for.
Right.
And obviously we've done some additional cleanup, but I can follow back around. I'm not sure. I know there was a recommendation from citizens through Measure J.
Yes.
That's not related to our budgets. Those are just recommendations that eventually go to council and for consideration.
Okay, great, thanks. If I hear of anything, or if you hear of anything, we'll share. Okay,
Yeah,
appreciate
I'll follow up and see if there was anything to that, and if so, I'll bring it back to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And staff is aware that there's several layers of repairs at the dog park. This commission has recommended immediate needs, intermediate level needs, and then of course the full park rebuild as part of the grant project. So, we've listened to your feedback, and I think that 250 might be more for what you guys were considering the immediate needs, just to kind of spruce it up to relieve the current or the dog park behind City Hall, but it's not like the fancy brand new park. So we're very aware of, your very many discussions, meetings, and your list of priorities, I guess. So we'll address
Thanks,
the
Don.
immediate needs, intermediate needs, and we know that we have a grant for the long-term solution.
Thanks, Don. And then how much, do you remember how much that shade structure was that you just did? And is the shade structure similar to what you have at the ballpark, and the pickleball courts?
Each shade structure was unique, different foundations and stuff like that. I gotta take a look at it, but we were getting individual price quotes from the manufacturers for each location, because even though it's the same shade structure, like if they have to drive further into the park or use different equipment or whatever, we were just getting different prices. But the one that we've been ordering seems to last the longest. We talked about the good stitching, the good fabric, and we've been getting pretty competitive prices the more that we've been ordering from them. So but I can follow up and provide to Jeannie the costs for shade structures.
Thank you.
Yeah, because a small
Appreciate
one was running at like 18,000 and a larger one was going for like 20 something. So yeah, it varies.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions? All right, so we're gonna go on discussion action items. That was project updates. Thank you, Don. Appreciate that. Let's go to discussion and recommendation for waiving fees for the Sheen Toroley tennis tournament. Sorry, I slaughtered your name there.
Sean Toroley.
Sean Toroley, and it's a verbal discussion. So as you guys heard earlier, Sean was on regarding a tennis tournament he's putting on for the people of Palm Springs. Is he still on to explain his thought and thinking on it and what's going on?
Okay. Oh, interesting. He was, and Jasmine might help me out with this one. He wants to do a community tennis tournament, and he would like to ask the Parks and Recreation Commission to make a recommendation to waive fees, but we historically do not waive fees for things like this. So I don't, Jasmine, would you like to chime in?
No, that about covers it. He's kind of gone back and forth in terms of holding a really large scale tennis tournament, and it's kind of a smaller tournament at this point. He has asked for all of the courts for 2 days, a Saturday and a Sunday, from sun up until dusk, because he doesn't want to have to use any of the lighting there, which is a lot of courts for a weekend. He's asking the commission to waive the fees for the court rentals for those 2 days.
Okay.
The fee, it's $11 an hour per court, right? Per court hour. And there are 7 or 8 courts.
I thought Janet had the total amount he was requesting to waive. Maybe not.
Yeah, it was, Jeannie's right, it's $8. I'm sorry, 8 courts at $11 per hour. I think I had it in the email, sorry. It was at least over $700 just for 1 day.
Yeah, I'm getting about $1,400 here for 2 days. And that's on bare minimum.
And if that were to be like 8 to 5, then yeah, it gets pretty costly when it's a full day event and it's all 8 courts.
Yes. Miss Meyer, you have a question, comment?
I do. It's just more of a general question about anyone who's asking the city to waive fees for like a city property. Is there any protocol right now where, I mean, if someone wanted to rent out the municipal pool for a weekend, would it be the same process where they came to the commission, and would they be required to establish like a financial need for it or good cause, or is this kind of like the case of first impression, this tennis tournament?
Well, the city has a program in place for programs and events and sponsorships, and that runs annually. So there's a couple months where they leave it open, they seek people to submit applications, and then that goes through the city clerk's office, that process. It's not very typical for us to receive a request and waive fees in the middle of a fiscal year, unless it's serves a great need to the city, and then our city council will make that determination. This is a bit of an unusual request, but ultimately staff can't make that decision, so it will come to the commission for them to make a recommendation, and then that recommendation needs to go to city council for their approval. But yet again, this is like just a bit of an off request, because typically these things do need to go through the city council's sponsorship and waive of in-kind fees process throughout the year.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jasmine. I was just wondering if there was something like every January where if there was an ongoing tournament, someone could apply for a waiver at a specific
Absolutely.
time.
And we do have events and programs that get sponsored through the city's sponsorship program, but they have to apply within that time frame where city council is considering them.
Okay, thank you, Jasmine.
Any other questions or comments from any other members?
Well, yeah, I got something. The thing about it is, you know, if we do this for, what's his name again, Sean, if we do this for Sean, then we might have, you know, then that kind of opens the door for other people to do this too. And, you know, maybe we can help a little bit somehow, maybe some kind of discount. I don't know. Again, Jasmine, maybe you've answered in, I wasn't paying attention. I don't know.
Any sort of discount would still have to go through city council. So this commission would have to make a formal recommendation to city council. They would then have to review that at their council meeting and make a determination there.
Okay.
See, I'm all about it and I love it. But once again, just like Jasmine said, this is usually done at the beginning of the fiscal year. So this is already laid out, planned out. This is kind of a blindside to us and a hit in our pocket. Not a major one, but a little one, you know? I would prefer, me personally, the way I feel is I'd rather stick to protocol and have them approach how they're supposed to, stick with how we've done it for years and continue to do it. That's the way it should work. I don't feel like waiving anything. That's just me personally. That's my personal opinion. This is a board of multiple opinions, and what does everybody else feel?
Jerry, I second what you're saying. This is just Commissioner Meyer. I think as long as Jasmine described it, it seems like there's a pretty transparent process by which someone could approach the city. And it does seem like it would be a little bit difficult if we were basically evaluating someone's really soft sort of subjective factors on whether or not they deserved a part of the budget. And it does kind of level the playing field so long as this process is something that's easily, you know, ascertainable to the public. And I don't know, I know Jasmine said it's a normal ongoing yearly thing, but if it's something you can find through the City of Palm Springs website pretty easily, I would be inclined to suggest that he do that for the tournament next year.
Any other comments?
So do we vote on this, or should we, what do we
We're
do
having
now?
we're having a verbal discussion on what to do from here. And if we're as a board, we're gonna say, hey, no, then we need to take a vote and vote on a no statement. So that's what we're gonna say to the gentleman. No, at this time, you gotta stick to regular, you know, how we've done it. And that's the way it's gonna be. We're not gonna waive any rules or anything for this one tournament.
Yeah, I kind of agree, Jerry. I think there has to be a standard and a protocol. And if the protocol is people can go to the city's website, fill out a form, have it submitted, like if there's a whole process, then the cleanest way to do it is to recommend that they go through the standard process and not make any accommodations.
Thank you very much.
I think it sets us up for a big bag of problems.
Yes, it does. Thank you for so elegantly putting it in better words. Very much so. So at this time, that's honestly, that's my recommendation. That's what I feel as I feel that we need to stick with what's the city has done with protocol and keep it that way and not make any special requests of waiving of fees. The rest of the board is on board.
Gary, this is Commissioner Meyer. I agree with you. I second that if that's the necessary step.
You should somebody should make a motion and a second, and then we can vote on your decision.
So at this point, let's take it. Is there a motion? Trying to get this meeting moving on, guys. Is there a motion to have the Sean Toroley tennis tournament non-fees waived this year? He has to go through the standard city's protocol, go through the, fill out the form. And if he wants to hold his tournament this year, he needs to pay the fees. The way it is, he needs to fill out the paperwork and pay the fees.
Are we voting on this right now? Is that what you're asking, or you're asking for another comment, or where?
Yeah, this time we're gonna be voting on, are we gonna?
The motion then sounds like to deny the request of Sean Toroley tennis tournament.
Yes, that's what we're looking to vote for. Is we're looking for a motion to deny the request.
Jerry, I can do that. I make a motion to deny the fee waiver request for the tournament for 2022.
Thank you, Susan.
A second.
Thank you, Ellen. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Do roll call. Chair Alcorn.
Yay.
Vice Chair Coladonato.
Yay.
Commissioner Crawford.
Yay. Going to the normal protocol.
Commissioner Diaz.
Yay.
Commissioner Finland.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodman.
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Moralia.
Yes.
Commissioner Spellman.
I don't have to recuse myself from this, do I? Like Jasmine or Jerry, do you know if I have to?
No, but if you don't feel comfortable, you can abstain from this vote. Just abstain and stay neutral vote.
No, I'll vote. I'll vote with the majority. I'll say I'll agree if I vote. Sure. Yes.
The motion has passed to deny the request for fee waiver.
All right, so that motion is denied. All right, number 3 is the discussion. We've gone through this with public comment. We're gonna have to open it up because it's on number 3. Is discussion of need for more pickleball courts and wins. As you.
Chair Alcorn, I just wanted to ask a question about this too. I learned that there was a pickleball subcommittee, and I'm wondering if there is still the pickleball subcommittee and in effect. Are you all still active?
That committee's not been active when we were told no to Sunrise Park. And so we did not, at least to my knowledge, we did not reorganize and continue the conversation. We were kind of beaten down pretty well on that topic.
I agree.
That's not to say we couldn't start a new conversation.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Is that where you're going, Jerry?
Yes, ma'am. I'm saying, you know what this sounds like at this time? It sounds like we need to do ad hoc committee. And it sounds like we have, we definitely have a need here in the city. We have a demand for it. and I know the city is aware of it. So we need boots on the ground to really get this pushing and moving forward for our community.
So
Is there any?
I think there was Jody and Johnny, myself, and then David Cohan. But so if there's somebody else who would like to join us.
I see David keeps raising his hand. You're off screen a little bit, sir, but I see your hand moving around.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not great at photography and stuff, but yes, if outside people can join, I would like to join.
Well, that's as far as the commissioners, you all can work with the community, I would think, but as far as the Parks and Recreation Commission subcommittee, it should be commissioners, and then you can invite experts or talk to experts or.
Yes. Who would like to be on this one? Ellen, would you like to be on it again for round 2?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Johnny, you want to be on round 2?
Yeah, I'll do round 2.
Thank you, sir. Jody, are you interested?
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Jody.
Yes.
Yes? Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Diaz. Anybody else? Michael, would you be interested in this one?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Finland.
Hey, and let's make sure we all have David's number too, because David's has been a really good advocate with the city. He's also on, I think he's with the board with the CVB too. So I think having him and then having Mary be part of this, I think the more that we have, I think the stronger we'll be. I think having them too as people we can go to would be a good addition.
This is awesome. Yes, great. Yeah, it's definitely needed and it needs to be discussed. We are aware we do need more courts. We are aware we need windscreens. We are aware of it. Currently, we have no director, so there's nobody with budget. Really, we just throw it out there. So we're working with everybody we have. We're aware of what's going on, and it's in the pipeline. And I hate to say that, but it really is.
And for us from the staff side too, we want to work with the subcommittee on maybe getting some advice on process, because we are getting conflicting advice on process, and we want community input and make sure that we are serving the residents the way that the majority wants to, and so we want to work with everybody. So this will help us too.
Very much so. So with that being said, we had a lot of public comment on this particular item. We all are aware of what's going on. We now have a subcommittee, which is awesome. I'm going to say, let's let the subcommittee meet, talk, and come back to us next month with some suggestions on what's going on and where we can go from here with this subject. Personally, like I said, we're aware of it, and I'm really happy with the way it's going. I see Dieter, you have your hand up, sir.
Yeah, just want to comment about the pickleball and tennis thing before we move on whenever you're finished.
Please, yes, sir. Let's go for it. I was just getting ready to close it out.
Yeah, I know oftentimes when I pass by Demuth in the morning, the pickleball courts are really packed. It's very popular. So we know there's a need for it. We've heard all the comments as well, but I'd like to see us see if we could restripe the courts at Ruth Hardy and maybe make them multi-purpose. Not really sure about the net heights, how they differ, but I've seen a lot of courts work as multi-purpose with basketball, volleyball, badminton. And so I would like to see if we could explore that. I know the indoor facility at James O. Jesse has tons of markings on it, and you don't get too confused. But like to see the tennis community just be a little more inclusive. And then last but not least, this is probably for staff, but if we could work with PSUSD and the Palm Springs High School to see if we could use their tennis courts, similar to how we use the track and the swim center, and come up with some type of agreement to where residents can maybe use the tennis courts there. I believe Palm Springs High School has new tennis courts there on Pavilion Way that were put in not too long ago. So those are just some of my comments on the pickleball and the tennis thing.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Appreciate it and value your opinion too, sir. Thank you. Stacy, I see your hand is up, ma'am.
I actually wanted to respond to Commissioner Crawford. We actually did tape down and restripe the courts there at Ruth Hardy, and it was due to the excessive heat on the exterior. It caused damage to the courts. The glue melted onto the courts. It created a trip hazard for both the pickleball and the tennis players. So that's why we moved that particular endeavor interior to the inside courts, because it could be removed and cleaned more effectively. When you do that on the exterior in the extreme heat we have in the summer, it was very problematic. But I did want to point out that we have made those efforts, and we did the trial and error, and it really wasn't very successful for us.
We could use the material that we use for the same thing we use for the basketball courts. I mean, not temporary restriping, actual striping it.
Thank you.
I've never saw the stuff on the basketball courts peel up, and I don't think we've ever restriped the ones at Desert Highland. It's probably been there for 30 years.
Ellen, I see your hand is up, ma'am.
Right, thank you. I feel that if there's going to be any restriping at Ruth Hardy, it's just an invitation to eventually erode away the tennis players. And it's the only public courts left for the city. And they lost the racket, they lost the tennis center on Baristo, and they lost tennis courts at another club. And so I would want to push back on that a bit. I did a few years ago when the Baristo tennis courts were demolished. We negotiated with the school district to use the high school courts. And that looked like there could be some promise there. Now, the feedback we got were the courts were not USTA. They were redone, but they're not quite the exact size. But I will recheck on that, because that is an opportunity to expand. It would have limitations because, you know, kids are playing on the courts. But I will find out about that USTA rule and to see if the courts have been changed.
Thank you, Ellen. We appreciate that. All right, for the pickleball, and I think we nailed that pretty much down. So we'll wait for the ad hoc committee to come back next month with a report, and we'll move on from there.
Hey, Jerry,
sorry, I don't see. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Was that the windscreens were brought up too? Do we have something going on with that?
You know, I do not know. Do we have anything going on with the windscreens? I know we have the new block wall being built between them. Is there, I mean, I know
we get requests for more windscreens, I know, and then Stacy sometimes will be able to help us with that, but then sometimes it blocks the views of the spectators, so then we wouldn't want to put them in front of the bleachers. So it's an ongoing.
I would say, honestly, for that, I would say let's table this till next month, because I mean, there's so many different conflicting stuff going on with the pickleball, with this and with that, and we need to really have the ad hoc committee go find out what's going on, let's have a clear, concise path of where we need to go and how we can address it from here on out. And we'll move forward from there. Right now, it's a bunch of he said, she said, this and that, and it's just not productive at this point. Sorry, Stacy, I see your hand is up, ma'am.
No, it's exactly what I was going to say. Because of the tournaments, the participants need to watch. And when we put those nets up, that can't happen. When we did put them up, they were removed by citizens in a most destructive manner. Or participants, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say citizens. So we heard that loud and clear and vehemently that was problematic for any of the participants trying to watch or spectators, and in particular for the tournaments.
Thank you for educating me, Stacy. I appreciate that. See all the stuff that goes on in the background that none of us really know. So we're going to let the ad hoc committee meet, and we'll come back next month with that. David, I see David just had a comment on here. Where is my iPad's completely freezing too. Sorry. So we're going to move on to number 4, which is discussion on the AMP grant, trees in the parks for Arbor Day. I don't know if anybody's heard about that. What's going on? We have Arbor Day coming up in March, and we got an AMP grant for, I think, 66 trees to be planted in 3 different parks in the city of Palm Springs. Desert Highland, Ruth Hardy. The other park is, I think, Victoria. I'm sorry, Stacy.
And Sunrise.
Sunrise Park. So what we're looking for is we need, it's 66 trees. They're coming in 15-gallon pots. We need volunteers. We need people. Yeah, we need to dig holes. So we're looking for
and your shovels. Your shovels.
I mean,
and your
you can
gloves.
count me in, I'll do it.
Awesome.
Stacy, what's the date? Do you remember the date? It's in March.
It's Arbor Day. I think it's March 23rd. So it's a grant that I wrote, and we were awarded for 66 trees. Sorry, my puppy keeps seeing himself in the window there. For 66 trees, as part of the state of California, CAL FIRE, and West Coast Arborist, who is the arborist for our trees. And the idea is it's community engagement. We've already reached out to a couple of the 1PS communities in the areas that are being impacted, but we chose the areas that we lost a lot of our more mature trees due to windstorms, drought, and just miscellaneous things over the last few years. But the goal, every volunteer that spends time will be trained. We're going to have to bring gloves. We're bringing water, shelter, all that. All the amenities are coming in, but what we just need is folks just willing to come out and help dig a little bit and grab a few trees and some gloves and get their hands dirty with us and encourage education and obviously our urban forestry overall.
Did I miss the date, Stacy? Did you say that already?
I thought it was the 23rd. I may be wrong. It's Arbor Day,
Saturday.
March
12th. March 12th.
Sorry.
And then
my brother's birthday.
Stacy, I missed the meeting. I know that there was like a training and orientation, and I got double booked. Can we still show up if we didn't take that training?
Absolutely. Everybody's welcome. We're going to be doing the kickoff up at Desert Highland Community Park. We're going to have some speakers, some of our council. CAL FIRE is going to be there. A few other folks are going to be there. We're still hammering down all the details on the timeline, but the kickoff is going to be there. And then we're going to be caravanning across to the other 2 parks as time permits and allows. And everybody's welcome. We're looking for youth organizations all the way up to senior organizations, anybody and everybody who's interested.
Yeah.
And it starts about 8 a.m. for the music and speakers, and then probably about 8:50, 8:45 or so, everybody gets assigned to their park.
Get your hands in the dirt.
Yeah. Yes. It's good. All right. So that's awesome. I love the Arbor Day. I'm gonna be there. I know I'm gonna plant and probably drag a couple of kids out. So please spread the word, people. Let the community know, anybody.
I'd also like to point out, they are certifying all of the volunteer criteria. So if you have youth leagues or sports groups or any community organization that needs hours, volunteer hours, they are going to be certified at this event.
Okay.
And
That's
the
awesome.
trees are not just your normal Palo Verde trees. It's desert tolerant, but they're going to try to do, I think they said, some experiments with trees that they believe are going to be amenable to our desert climate, right? Does that sound right?
Kind of. Actually, I worked with the arborist. We handpicked them. We picked the drought tolerant trees that are indigenous, that are actually the most underutilized trees in our area, but are appropriate for the area. So the idea was that we were going to potentially rejuvenate some trees that people have forgotten about and haven't utilized as much. And, for whatever reason, they fall out of popularity. But the goal was they are the most drought tolerant, and they're all local, indigenous, and hopefully we can revitalize some interest in some of these trees again. And I can send you the list of that.
That's great. Genuinely making stuff better. I love that. That's awesome. Any other questions or for the Arbor Day? All right. Thank you, Stacy, very, very much. Moving on to number 5, reports and updates from ad hoc committees. I do not know of any ad hoc committees that have met since November when we took off December. Is there any reports from anybody that I do not know of? All right. At this point, I am gonna say we're gonna have reports and requests. We're gonna have commissioner comments. This portion of the meeting is set aside for brief general comments from our commissioners of issues or concerns. Any items of future meetings too. So this is your time. Please raise your hand.
I'm not a commissioner, but can I make a comment real quick?
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you in my staff report that the director position for the Parks and Recreation Department was not successfully filled. So Human Resources is going to reopen the position. And so if anybody missed the job opportunity and wants to become the director of Parks and Recreation, the job will be reopened very soon, but it will be a short window, maybe about a week. So I'm not sure when it's reopening, but they are going to repost that position. So I'm your interim director for a little bit longer and happy to serve.
Yeah. Hopefully we get somebody decent in there. You know what I mean? We need it. You're great. Don't. You're great. I just want somebody who can stay around and continue growing this. That was totally spoken completely wrong.
I know exactly what you mean, so I'm not offended.
I'm good. I am very good at inserting my foot, and then let me just take it back out very quick.
I'm like, we need somebody good because I am a librarian and I love my job as a librarian. I love you guys, but same thing. Like it's mutual. We all love each other, but
makes sense.
She wants her
All right,
library.
so let's go on to John. I see your hands up, sir. Been waiting there patiently.
Thank you.
Yes,
I was under the impression that we might get some update onto what happened at the Measure J meeting last week. I don't know if I didn't send what I sent into them because I couldn't attend the meeting, but I actually sent in a pretty, I don't want to say lengthy letter, but I sort of commented on each point that I had personal knowledge about. So if I went and talked to people at Victoria Park, for example, or whatever, do we have any update on any motions that were done there, or do we not?
I took notes. I did attend. It's recorded. Or did anybody else? I have a list of what was done so far. If you want me to give a report.
Jeannie, they didn't get through the entire list, did they?
No.
They got through the first round, actually.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't seem like they made progress, that I think what they talked about was the cut of what was done. So Oh, where'd my email go? Just a second. There it is. Do you want me to give the report? Is that okay? Quickly?
Please, could you? Yeah, please.
Sure.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah. What they talked about at the Measure J, and again, nothing's final, but they went through their first round of initial votes. So they voted on all of the community applications that were submitted, and ones that got top scores that were most favored. There were 4 applications that were the 4 that sounded like they were obviously going to get a recommendation. Number 17, Boys and Girls Club drainage. Number 34, Victoria Park Playground Shade Structure, which was a resident application. Number 45, hiking trail improvements. And then number 48, pool fencing, got high marks. And so that one made the top cut. So there was a list of quite a few that received 5 or more yes votes. And again, the thing that they were going to do at the next round was to take all of this information and put price tags on it. Because again, we may be done right there. 4 items. I don't know the pricing on those, but that will also have a factor on whether these truly do get approved or not, depending on their prices. So the next batch were at least received 5 or more yes votes. Some of these wanted additional information or more questions, but and these are not in numerical order, they're just in the order that they talked about. Number 13, Palm Canyon Theater. Number 18, Animal Shelter Shade. Number 46, the Library Study Room. Number 4, Mizell Kitchen. The next one's either number 9 or number 29, I'm not sure. It's Talkwitz Creek Nature Trail. Number 12 was pickleball courts, and that was from the community. That one was the majority of their votes were recommending regular Measure J funding and not the community grant funding. Number 23, Park. They did want some more information from the city about that. Number 47 was a new dog park at Ranch Club Estates. The next item was either 52, 48, or 55, and it's the city pool fencing again. There were multiple, well, I'll get to that in a second. Number 53 was the pull-up bar wellness park and the exercise equipment at James O'Jesse. Number 54 was the James O'Jesse walking trail. Number 55 was Sunrise Park. This was the one that the Sunrise Park Subcommittee put through, which had essentially 18 requested items in one application. So they're saying that one needs to be streamlined and vetted by the applicants down to what they really need. Number 57 was the swim center locker rooms. Number 3 was a bicycle bridge deck on East Palm Canyon and Rim Road. Number 8 was San Rafael turf conversion project, and number 36 was light and flagpoles at 600 South Palm Canyon to Vista Chino and Indian. I'm not really sure what that one was, but it's not a Parks and Rec application. So it looks like we got a few that made the positive cut. So that's
Jeannie, what are you reading from?
I typed up my notes. I have send it as an email to you all. I was scribbling during the meeting their numbers because they had their application PDF document, and each application was numbered, and then they discussed it during the meeting. So that's where I got that. But I can send that to you. It's also on their video, but I'll save you an hour. But
awesome.
Coming back next month with more information. And then I believe they want some, like I know the library, they want us to come and give a presentation about our project.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool, Measure J. I mean, I'm looking to see what's going on with that. also next month. They're supposed to be meeting and streamlining it down also. Any other questions or comments, commissioners? No, all right. So at this point, Parks and Recreation Commission, we're gonna need a motion to close, but before we do, our next regular meeting will be February 28th, 2022 at 5:30 via Zoom. Can I get a motion to close? Any other burning desires?
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Thank you, John.
Second.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michael. All right, at this time, we're gonna adjourn our meeting. Thank you, everybody, for the Parks and Rec Commission. It was a very productive meeting this month.
Jerry, you ran a great meeting today. Thank you.
Jerry.
Good
Thank
job.
you,
Good job.
everybody. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, everyone.